Now, these are paleontological evidences. You can see all the fossils in the picture. Fine. So paleontology basically is the study of fossils. Fine. Fossils are remnants of life found in the Earth's crust. Vujela. Now, when certain organism dies, okay, and the decaying process is slow, okay, ता ऊपर कौन हुए ना sedimentation ही जाए. The sediments get deposited aboard it, as a result of which সেই জিনিসটা সেইটারে রহি কি preserved remain ভলি হয়ে যায়. That is what is fossil. ठीक है? And once you excavate it, remove it from the earth's crust, ताधुरु बहुत गुड़ी को information हम मिलता है. Like simple good answer by radiocarbon dating, C14 dating. हमें carbon dating methods रे अंकरो age जानी परिवा केबे करो जिंसोडी means that particular life form existed how many years back. We can also find out. This is the simplest thing. तापुरे सेही समय रे तार बॉडी भीतर थिबा constituents तो जानी परिवा से atmosphere रे कौन थिला, soil रे कौन थिला, and what were the behavior etc. of it. ठीक है? So this is a very very important tool and practical evidence that will show us various aspects of life forms. Fine. Oh. Tabure, once you go into the paleontological evidence, you can also tell about how life forms were there. Evolutionary means. To study phylogeny, evolutionary history or race in history, paleontological evidences are very, very important. Now, you see, 60 million years ago, जो हमको मिला, horse raw evidence, वो ऐसा था. तापरे current modern horse raw ऐसा. So these are all the evidences, paleontological, that tell us the evolution of the horse. ठीक है? Early horse, the old ancestors, and the modern horse. You can see how the difference is. Even in case of elephants, the woolly mammoth, there remains हमको मिल चला trapped in the ice. Asian elephants and African elephants. ठीक है? This was the first bird that was found. It is Archaeopteryx, connecting link between birds and the reptiles. Fine. तार archaeological evidence हमको एमती मिला. Fine. To study the connecting link between two groups of organisms. तो क्षेत्र मध्य साहाଯ୍य रखो. So early birds evolved from reptiles. This is the evidence connecting reptiles and birds. Okay. So as I was telling you, animal kingdom re madhya evolutionary relationship exist करता है. This is the evidence of dinosaur. हमें जानी पाले कि dinosaurs exist करते and semane बोलिया देखा होते. This is the example of it. ठीक है. Study about extinct animals. Example dinosaurs. Sathare madhya paleontology is a very very important tool. ठीक है. Then I'm going to timeline construct kariya pai sahajala, which I told you carbon 14 dating. So kebe to amaro earliest or oldest form of fossil jo milichi seta ru nei ki earliest ru nei ki latest porjanto ame sajei pariba, and by that we can form the various timeline, geological time scale. You'll have the Paleozoic era, Mesozoic era, Cenozoic era. Then again, you'll have the periods like Cambrian period, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, okay? Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, right? Pliocene, Pleistocene, Holocene, Quaternary. ये सब periods गुड़िका हमारा अच्छी, ठीक है? To study about geological period by analyzing fossils and sedimentary rocks, to study that life forms varied over time. Okay? This is also a role played by the paleontological evidences. Okay? So paleontological evidences for next come into morphological evidences. This is basically a comparison. Now you can see ଆମେ ଏଠି ବହୁତ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ wings ଦେଖୁଛେ, yes, or limbs ଦେଖୁଛେ, but they belong to different organisms. Although ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କର wings ଅଛି, but wings ର formation and wing ର structure might be different, both internally as well as externally. So this is morphological evidence. Now look into it. When we look into comparative anatomy and morphology, our different animal forms रहिले, ସେଥିରେ ଆମେ ଦିଟା concept पाइले. One is homology, the other is analogy. One is homology, the other is analogy. This is homology, this is analogy. Homologous माने कौन है लर बाबू? Yes, similar origin, dissimilar function. Whereas analogy माने हला different origin or structure, same function. This is analogy. माने एका भलिया देखा होतिबे, एका भलिया formation होतिबे, किंतु अलगा functions करतिबे. That is homology. Whereas अलगा जिंस गुड़िक अलगा formation होइचंदी, अलगा origin रो आछंती, किंतु same functions करुतिबे. That is analogy. ठीक है? Now look into the homologous organs. The organs having fundamental similarity in structure and origin, but different functions. This phenomenon is called homology. Which palore? Homology. After 4 limbs. All these diagrams or pictures here show, yes, same organs. That is 4 limbs. Kintu, all 4 limbs have different functions. ठीक है? Similarly, यहाँ देखो, man ro 4 limbs, cheetah ro 4 limbs, whale ro 4 limbs, and bat ro 4 limbs. All are mammals and have the same origin of this organ. That is 4 limbs. Kintu, man 4 limbs help, use करता है जमती writing पाएंगी, holding पाएंगी, grasping पाएंगी, etc. Cheetah for running, whales for swimming, bats for flying. So functions अलग अलग, किंतु origin समान. ठीक है? Okay. Human hand, whales, flippers, bats wing, cheetah's foot. These are 4 limbs. ठीक है? All these 4 limbs have different functions but similar anatomical structure. कौन अच्छे तेरे? आमर जेमती अच्छी humerus, radius, ulna, carpel, metacarpal, phalanges. Again, humerus, radius, ulna, carpels, metacarpals, phalanges. Fine. So same tankar madhya achi, but functionality is different. Similarly, heart and brain also have homologous relationship. You can see hearts of vertebrates, fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Now, samasthangara functionality different केमिति हला? Yes, origin समान, mesodermal in origin. Function केमिति अलगा हला? Pumping तो करंती समझते, तो अलगा केमिति हला? अलगा in the sense, this is a venous heart, ठीक है? This is a mixed type heart, fine. This is a double circulation wala heart. So all are having different functions, fine. Similarly, brain ra madhya origin saman, that is ectodermal origin. Kintu processing capabilities, sensing abilities are different. Hence, homologous. Now, in case of plants, also homology is seen. Now you can see it carefully here. Very important. That's why I said na. In the evolution part chapter, a part gudika, they are very complicated and you'll have to remember them. Now, thorns and tendrils in Bougainvillea and Cucurbita. Bougainvillea, Cucurbita. ठीक है? Thorns, tendril, कोटू asile, same. Axillary buds ru asile. But thorns are protective, whereas tendrils are useful for climbing purposes. ठीक है? तो same origin अच्छी, किंतु different function अच्छी. Okay? Now, homology indicates divergent evolution. माने common ancestry रू से माने originate है जाती. But by adaptation or evolution से मानकर different functions गुड़िका है जाइए. So origin of homologous organs is due to divergent evolution. मन रखियो homology, divergent evolution, analogy, convergent evolution. Remember this carefully. Divergent evolution is the evolution by which related species become less similar to survive and adapt in different environmental conditions. Hello. Fine. This is a cat, cheetah, all belong to the cat family. But because of variations by evolution, they have become different in appearance. You can easily differentiate between the cats, the lions, the tigers, the cheetahs or leopards, and the panthers. Fine. Now, analogous. Analogous organs, the organs having similar function but different structure. Means origin alaga alaga, structure alaga alaga, kintu function ekka. For example, butterfly ro wings and bat ro wings. Structure origin alaga. Why? Because this mono, in case of a butterfly, it is chitinous in origin. But here it is muscular in origin. So therefore, its bones and muscles are chandi. It's a chitin achi. So structure and origin is different. But both of them are useful for flying purpose. Hence, analogy. ठीक अछि. Similarly, dolphin raw flippers, you see, they are for swimming purposes. ठीक है. In case of in case of the penguins, they are birds. Fine. They also have these flippers. So function दुईटा कर समान कौन swimming रे. But our origin अलगा. ठीक है. Wings of insects formed of a thin flap of chitin. Wings of birds modified forelimbs. Analogy है. Eyes of octopus, retina from skin. And mammals have retina from embryonic brain. Yes. Structure अलगा, origin अलगा, किंतु function same. कौन देखिए भाई. Flipper of penguins and dolphins. ठीक है. Swimming, function समान, but origin अलगा. Example, in case of sweet potato टा basically कौन गोटे root tuber टा. It is a root. It's a root. Whereas potatoes are stem. So ये root modification से stem modification. But both have the same function, that is storage and grow underground. Bujela. So that's why this is also analogous. Trachea of insects from ectoderm, lungs of vertebrates from endoderm. Kintu both are useful for the breathing purposes. Hence analogous. Okay. Now, analogous organs indicate convergent evolution. Convergent evolution. Fine. Say convergent evolution में कौन होता है? They all come from different categories, but at some point they form a kind of singular mechanism or similar functions. देखो convergent evolution is the evolution by which unrelated species become more similar to survive and adapt in similar environmental conditions. So they are different organisms, they belong to different types, okay? But they are having similar structures or similar organs modified to survive. Which parlor? Yes, this is a very, very important relationship. Analogy and homology, very, very essential. Mone rakhibo tum mane. ठीक है? And homologous mane divergent evolution, analogous mane convergent evolution. Please always remember this relationship. ଯେତେବେଳେ question ପଡିବ, ଯେତେବେଳେ ବି question ପଡିବ, ଏ ଜିନିଷଟିକୁ ମୁଣ୍ଡରେ ରଖିବ. ठीक है? Is that clear? Okay. In this picture, you can see examples of convergent evolution. Fish, reptiles, and mammals. K related no the alga. Now, fish, sharks, land reptiles, ichthyosaurus, land mammals, porpoise, or dolphins. Now, all have developed the same flippers, although they are unrelated organisms. Jone fish, jone reptile, jone mammal. So, fish, land reptile, and land mammals are unrelated, but they evolved to form similar forms in the similar environment, that is water. Are bujhilare? Is that understood? Okay. Now, biochemical evidences. Organisms show similarities in proteins, genes, other biomolecules, and metabolism. It indicates common ancestry. Okay? This is biochemical or even cytological evidences. Organisms show similarities in proteins, genes, proteins, same amino acids will be there. That is lysine, glycine, serine, tyrosine, glutamic acid, valine. Okay, all similar. Say coordinate amino acid. And combination of those amino acids will result in proteins. Genes, same nitrogenous basis. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, uracil. So same. Plant reja, animal reja, same. Even bacteria, etc. So other biomolecules like carbohydrates, glucose, lipids, proteins. So molecular level, they have the same entities. Although tankara function, tankara role, different categories. Okay. Organisms show similarities in proteins, genes, other biomolecules, and metabolism. It indicates common ancestry. Now, age of gene this basically is what? Central dogma. Kaun eta re babu? Central dogma. Which was proposed by Crick. So DNA ru DNA theory la mane replication hochi. DNA ru RNA mane transcription hochi. RNA ru protein synthesis hochi, that is translation. So replication, transcription, translation. Eta sabu organism is samani habo. Okay? Now, look at this Darwin finches. This is biogeographical evidence. Now, Charles Darwin ଯେତେବେଳେ Galapagos Island ପହଞ୍ଚିଲେ ତାଙ୍କର HMS Beagle ରେ ସେ ଏଇ birds ଗୁଡିକୁ ପାଇ. Now, ଏ birds ମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଏକା ଭଳି ଦେଖିବାକୁ, except one thing, that is ତାଙ୍କର ଥଣ୍ଟ. If you observe their beaks, the beaks are different. Beaks are different. Mark it carefully. The beaks are different. ये beak है. This is beak. This is a beak. Okay? So beaks are different. All the beaks are different. Now these beaks are different. For what purpose? Eighty got an important concept ase. ताकू हमें कोई थाऊ resource partitioning. एडी लेकुची ध्यान दियो. Resource partitioning. Now, what is this resource partitioning? Just imagine one thing. Suppose some family re, you see a big family, suppose. And you have all the family members eating only the say rice. Okay. Some of their favorite is rice. Okay. Now, what happens once ki tame no you depend upon the rice? Yes. So rice production कमिगला 1 year. So rice availability कमिगला. Yes. Suppose rice बहुत कम हेगला availability. Now every one of you depends upon the same rice. तो इसमें क्या होगा? इतने now काहाकू भी ठीक से मिलिवनी बा जणु को अधिक मिलिगला जणु कम मिला then it will create dissatisfaction. Same way रे जेतेबेले एटा तो हमें ह्यूमन बीइंग कथा कहूचे बट जेते एनिमल्स मन कथा आसला सेतेबेले आउ टिके डिफिकल्ट ए सिचुएशन. Why? Because they do not have the ethical aspects or cultural aspects that we have. एटा उचित एटा अनुचित काले से कोन भाबिबो नहीं तमे बडो अछो तमे आगे खाई दियो मु परे खाइबी नो मु न खाइले चलिबो. That kind of thing. There they don't think so. उसमें क्या है? Only survival is the equation. So what happens? There will be struggle. हमें ताकू कोई थाऊ competition. So when the resources are limited, when the resources are limited, that is competition. Competition कहाँ पाई? For the same resources. माने गोटे resource पाई कि समस्त भीतर झगड़ा आरंभ हो जीवो. ठीक है? And out of which कौन होबो? And you know pretty well ना तो organisms and population पढ़ी थी वो. Competition or relationship is minus minus. माने or any two species involved in competition will always suffer from losses. Competition in case is not fruitful. Kaigi? Why? Because both will be competing for the same resource. Okay? And eventually, यदि competition को check न करा गला, then it will result in extinction. So competition is very, very dangerous. We say competition intra-specific है था, by inter-specific competition है था. Okay, हमें आगे जाएंगे गोटा concept पढ़ियो Gauss's exclusion principle. Age insert ही recently relate करची. So age insert को हमें check करिया पाई. कौन करी परिवा? Suppose rice नहीं, भात तो नहीं. So we can have other kinds of food. Say गहम उत्पादन ठीक है जी. So let us have wheat instead. मतलब rotis instead. बुझ पाचो? तो किसी ने रोटी खा लिया, किसी ने fruits खा लिया, ठीक है? So different kinds of resources of dependency है ला. Same जिनसटी Galapagos Island रे Darwin Finches बने में उनसे कॉले. आगुरु एमाने केवल grain eating थिले. माने only grains खाऊ थिले, seeds खाऊ थिले. But they are limited. Why? Population बढ़ुची. Resources से हिसाब रे बढ़ुनी. आगुरु suppose 10 लोग थिले परिवार रे 20टा ही गलेनी. But resources से हिसाब रे बढ़िनी. So now 10 people living on the same category, same resources जेतिकी थिला efficient. एबे 20टा लोग सेतिकी resources ऊपर depend कला अलगु. It is difficult. So एडी कौन है लाना है माने कौन कले? They started adapting. Because of the adaptation, से मानो करो थॉन्टा beak was modified. So because of the modification of the beaks, now they could live on different varieties of food. के fruits खाइला, के insects खाइला, के fish खाइला, के scavenging कला, के nectar खाइला, some grains मध्य खाइले. So in that way, resource partitioning है गला. Now they are not dependent on the same resources. Hence, tankaro bhitere competition कौन है ला? कमी गला. As a result of which, तांको survival equation body गला. बुझ पालो का थोड़ा? This is a very, very important thing. And age insert को हमें बहुत angle रे observe करी परिवा. जेमती गेटी गोटे प्रकार रो birds थिले. से माने एबे change है कि अलगा प्रकार रहे गले. Now you can see they have changed into different categories of birds. But origin is same. Since they have originated from a same type of birds or organisms into different, all are of the same type but with modifications. So au semane tankar original vali disu nahati. Now they have become different but originated from same. Jehetu, what does it appear like? They have radiated. Gotti origin ru bahar choti. So that is radiated. And what is the cause of radiation? The adaptations. Hence, this mechanism is known as adaptive radiation. Are Bujila, is that understood? Is that understood? Good. Kabash. So adaptive radiation is evolution by adaptation. Okay? It is the evolution. It is the evolution of different species in a geographical area starting from a singular point. Gotiye geographical area re gote group of species alga formations karibe. That is why you call it adaptive radiation. Is that clear? So this example is Darwin finches, and Darwin's finches is an example of adaptive radiation. Clear? Okay. Now, this is another example of adaptive radiation. Another example of adaptive radiation. But 80 example of Darwin's finches no थी. ये कौन है example यहाँ पे? It is the marsupials of Australia. Marsupials of Australia. ठीक है? अब इसमें ध्यान दीजिए थोड़ा. Due to the continental drift, Australia रे थिबा जो marsupials माने थिले. In Australia, there were marsupials. Mane marsupials originally Australia thile. Do not think that people have this wrong concept that marsupials are evolved from placental mammals. No. Marsupials are another category of mammals. તમે જેતବେଳେ animal kingdom ପଢିବ mammals କୁ ଯିବ mammals କୋଉ category ରେ ଆସନ୍ତି? Yes, anyone? mammals କହୁଛି ଆମର marsupials କୋଉ category ରେ ଆସନ୍ତି? Anyone? Yes. The marsupials come under the category. Total तीनोटी category ଅଛି. कौन? Prototheria. ठीक है? Metatheria and Eutheria. 3 categories of mammals. Prototheria होचंदी egg laying. ए जिनस गुड़ी का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कोई नहीं बोलेगा भाई तो ध्यान दो कहीं तुम सेकेंड ईयर रे अच्छो ना जेहेतु सेकेंड ईयर रे अच्छो जेहेतु सेकेंड ईयर रे अच्छो सेति पाई फर्स्ट ईयर की चीजें कोई नहीं बोलेंगे अंडरस्टूड so we basically will deal with only second year studies तो first year studies से तो किसी मतलब नहीं तो सेति में कहीं कोई भी नहीं डाउट but it is a very important concept এটা बुझिले you will be more clear about the things fine so prototheria माने egg laying like platypus ହେଇଗଲା echidna ହେଇଗଲା माने egg laying okay metatherians imply the marsupials now you can see marsupial गोटे separate category आंकर placental mammals सहित किछि एमती link नाही although they are also mammals but they are different categories of mammals fine understood so seti pai do not link marsupials with the placental mammals. They are different. Clear? How? So marsupials mane aguru thile Australia re. Jete shift heigala, continental drift heigala. So they started to evolve. So marsupials mane alga alga evolution dekhele. Gotiye marsupial radiation hela. Sethuru Tasmanian wolf, tiger, cat, bandit, anteater, marsupial rat, kangaroos, wombats, bandicoots, koalas, moles, gliders, all were formed. All were formed. ठीक ଅଛି so गोटे marsupial varieties ରୁ ଏମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ radiate ହେଇଛନ୍ତି ବାହାରିଛନ୍ତି with adaptation so that's why this is also an example of adaptive radiation ठीक है so Australian marsupials showed marsupial radiation ଏଇଠି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଦେଖ ତମମାନେ ମୁଣ୍ଡରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ क्वेश्चन ଆସିବ सर ତାହେଲେ କଣ ଆମର ଯୋଉ placental mammals ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ भी adaptive radiation ଦେଖାନ୍ତି yes of course ଦେଖାନ୍ତି ठीक अछि जेमती marsupials मानकर radiation ହେଇची सेमती हमर placental mammals मानकर मध्य radiation ହେଇची हैला fine but they radiated differently marsupial बाटे radiate हेले mammals placental mammals माने placental mammals बाटे radiate हेले the radiation is not the same different ठीक है it is देखो placental mammals in Australia so mole marsupial development हला anteater बाटे develop हला ठीक है mouse बाटे develop हला fine and lemur बाटे develop हला clear in case of placental mammals flying squirrel develop हला bobcat develop हला wolf develop हला so they are different kinds of development fine now जो जगह रे एटी देखो adaptive radiation is homology किंतु जेतेबेले हमें multiple adaptive radiations consider करूचे remember this when we are considering multiple radiations ठीक है adaptive radiations in one geographical area तामाने marsupial okay जेतेबेले हमें दुईटी जाक जिंस को कंपेयर करूचे then it is convergent evolution काहे की basically both of them originated from similar organisms जेतेबेले formation हेइतिले both organisms originated from same category माने mammals na both are mammals but mammals they diverged differently fine marsupial category develop होइगला placental develop होइगला but originally what are they mammals so सेइथिबाई that kind of evolution is convergent evolution see here when more than one adaptive radiation appeared in an isolated geographical area it results in convergent evolution why because they show certain similarities जोटा तमे कोडी पढतिलो रे analogy रे पढतिलो dissimilar origin similar functions by habitats and structures ठीक है okay so Australian marsupials and placental mammals they individually study करछो they show adaptive radiation that is homology बुझेला किंतु यदि एक संगे स्टडी करछो it is convergent evolution so when you get a question on this be very careful with what exactly the question is asking नहले हैरान हबो ठीक है okay next comes embryological evidence now first of all observe this figure carefully and look into the various aspects जोटा तुमको कहउथिली बुझ पाछो that is ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny देखो ध्यान से बुझ परिवो Marco law yes okay first of all The embryological evidences were first proposed by Ernst Haeckel. Ernst Haeckel. He observed that all vertebrate embryos have come from have some common features. All vertebrate embryos have some common features that are absent where in case of adults. Okay. All vertebrate embryos, including humans, develop vestigial gill slits. काहे कि जो जिनसरा तुमको कहूଥିଲି आमे समस्ते chordates. Yes, chordates ରୁ ଆସିଲେ vertebrates. तो chordates ମାନଙ୍କର କିଛିଟା similar characteristics ଅଛି ଯେମିତି କି the neural line. Yes. Then you'll have the notochord. Then you'll have the gill slits. ठीक है? Even the tail. Now same जिनस एडी देख रहे हो तुम्हें. Look at this. At one point, all of them approximately appear similar. You can see tortoise hela, hen hela, rabbit hela, man hela. All of them at a point of time are almost similar. Now you can see this. इसमें कोई बोल सकेगा कौन सा ह्यूमन बच्चा है? ठीक है. But once properly development आरंभ होगा, then you can say yes. काहे कि ताकर features develop होगा आरंभ ये थियो. But earlier, originally you will find that they all have certain similar characteristics. कौन देखो एडी? Tail अच्छी, gill slits अच्छी, notochord मध्य अच्छी. So basically, they all appear to be similar in nature. बुझेला? सेथिपाई embryological evidences are also very very important in connecting them together. Means our origin and different categories of organisms are more or less similar. This proves that we have a common origin. Which be very clear with these concepts. Fine. Hope. However, Von Baer rejected this proposal. Now, Von Baer कहले, अरे बाबू, ये जो जिनसटा तमे कहूଛ ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny, एई जिनसटी सबु क्षेत्ररे same नथाई पारे. How? Let's see. He noted that embryos never pass through the adult stages of other animals. Embryos never pass to the adult stages of other animals. माने कौन तारो? माने embryonic stages रे जो जिनस गुडी को हमें observe कले, that change in the adults. माने हमें तो morphological aspect study करछे. So various organisms perform a task that is called metamorphosis. सुनी थी वो तुम माने word metamorphosis. Yes. Metamorphosis. ठीक है. Metamorphosis माने है when a larval form changes into its adult form, the process it undergoes is termed metamorphosis. Author, when a larval form changes to an adult form, the changes that occur in it is termed metamorphosis. Okay? Bujela? Okay. Now, this metamorphosis, jimti lower organisms rahi hai, simti ama higher organisms mananko case re madhya, although metamorphosis no ours is a direct development, but there are certain changes which occur during the fetal development or embryonic development. Fine. So, कौन ऑब्जर्व करिएगा that larval stages रे by embryonic stages रे जो organism ची हमर develop होतला adult case रे से तारो आउ अंक भितरे कोनोसी प्रकार similarity दिसुनी. They are different. ठीक है. So how is embryological evidence a proof that all are related organisms? सेथिपाई से कहले that embryos never pass through the adult stages of other animals. ठीक है. Fine. So Ernst Haeckel embryology ro theory ଦେଇଥିଲେ evidences ro. Von Baer modified it rather and came up with this, that is ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. ठीक है. अच्छा. तापरे next आस in natural selection. Now natural selection is also a very very important aspect of evolution. ठीक है. एथरे both examples गुड़िक मध्य अछि, you'll have to remember. Now what basically is natural selection? Natural selection ना हिसाब रे देखिबो, that is selection by nature. Nature सदा बेले fit organism को ही select करता है. माने कौन तारो? Suppose the environment is changing. Suppose the environment is changing. With a different environment, जो organism माने निजुकु adapt कर देले, बा suitable कर देले, से माने survive करिवे. जिए change हेलानी, कहला ना, मो द्वारा हबनी, बा मु जेम के सेम रहिबी, उसका क्या होगा? Because environment थारू, nature थारू, तमे तो obviously more powerful हुए ना. Nature is omnipotent. ठीक है? Most superior. You will have to adapt to nature. The nature will not adapt to you. समझ में आया? So therefore, those organisms that adapted survived, and those that could not adapt or did not adapt were extinct. So सही to concept असला natural selection लो. मतलब क्या है? Nature selects those organisms that are suitable to changes or adaptation. बुझेला? A2 concept Darwin आगुक मध्ये देइछंती, that is survival of the fittest. Fine, सही natural selection theory. This is very very important मुंडरेपुरा. Natural selection basically implies selection by nature. So nature कहा को select करिवो? जे suitable थिबो, more changes करि पारुथिबो, adapt करि पारुथिबो, से हेला fit for living. जे न करि पारला से unfit रही होला. That is what is natural selection. ठीक है, ध्यान दो. Natural selection is the process by which the organisms that are best suited for their environment survive and reproduce. Got the point? Got the point? So nature indirectly selects those organisms that are more suitable for survival in those changing environments. Okay? So they will grow, they will survive and prosper, reproduce. माने तांका generation lineage body जीवो, and जो नहीं कर पाएंगे उनका खत्म हो जाएगा. Like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs could not adapt to the changing environment. So those huge organisms once who ruled the earth were all extinct. ठीक है? How? इसके एग्जाम्पल में क्या है ध्यान दो. इंडस्ट्रियल मेलानिज्म. इंडस्ट्रियल मेलानिज्म माने कौन रे? देखो जितने इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन हैला कहाँ शुरू हुआ रे बच्चा? इंग्लैंड में. It was the first place where the industries were rapidly developing. Somewhere in the 20th century, during the post First World War, that is 1914 to 1918. That was the First World War. Second World War was 1939 to 45. So between the First and the Second World War, there was a lot of rush in the industry building. काहे की? अरे industries develop है लई, manufacturing आरंभ हो. Manufacturing आरंभ है लई, हमारे weaponry and other kinds of requirements will be fulfilled. So hella, but industry is रे गुटे बाई प्रोडक्ट भाला बा हार्मफुल प्रोडक्ट भाला, वो है pollution. ठीक अछि. So industry say somewhere बेसना industries गुड़िक जो अछंदी, they are hydrothermal or say nuclear or electric. हाँ, तो pollution levels कम से हिसाब रे. ये तो अधिक quantity is the pollution is increasing, but emission of pollution per industry is less. Fine. Say somewhere it was only coal, geothermal or coal. Fine. So coal use kara houtla. Now coal jete combustion habo, ta dhuru kon baharibo? Soot, smoke, yes, particulates. And ye ash ball ya deposit heijibe on surfaces. Acha. Say to kon helana, because of this industry's deposition of soot and carbon, those organisms, ATM में picture देखो चे ना, yes, ये क्या है? ये basically आपकी moth है. कौन है? Moth. It is the moth. और ना कौन? Bateson, Betullaria, typica. The original moth. ठीक है? तो एमाने normally गच्छ ऊपर रुहंती. तो इधर सूट जमा है गला कार्बन ब्लैक. तो एमाने अंकर coloration was whitish. तो ब्लैक बैकग्राउंड रे व्हाइट टा जल्दी जल्दी दिखाला easily. So what happened? Birds, reptiles like lizards etc. आराम से जानी गले कि यही डिवाइस है and उसको खा लिया. So by this what happened? The population of those original moths started to decrease. काहे की? अरे भाई उनका शिकार कर दे रहे ना बर्ड्स वगैरह, तो तांको संख्या को मिला. तो धीरे धीरे सेमाने कौन कोले ना, they started to adapt केमिति camouflaging. मतलब आगुरो जोड़ा typically ग्रे एंड व्हाइट वाला मॉथ थिले तांकर संख्या कमिला and तांकर adaptation जोगु then next generation of moths were created that were darker in complexion. तो सही बेटसन बिटुलारिया रोइला किंतु टिपिका जगह कौन है गला? कार्बोनिका और कार्बोनेरिया. So बेटसन बिटुलारिया कार्बोनेरिया आएगा. तो that was black. तो black background रे एबे black जोटा हबो ताको तमे देखि पारिबोनी. ताको नाम दे देले पेपर्ड मॉथ. क्या नाम दे दिया हमने? पेपर्ड मॉथ. पेपर्ड मॉथ. ठीक है, बुझेला. So जेहेतु dark coloration by pigmentation है गला, तो we know that pigmentation is because of melanin pigment. हमारा skin coloration, हमारी skin darker क्यों है? Because of melanin. तो आंकर melanin pigmentation अधिक मात्रा deposit होला. Therefore आपको ना कौन दिया गला? Industry जो कोई ची हेला कौन? melanin deposition. तो उसका नाम क्या दे दिया हमने? Industrial melanism. बुझेला? Understood? So the moths underwent natural selection by adaptation to become darker in complex, hence known as industrial melanism. ठीक है? हो. Similarly, एबे करो anthropogenic methods रे मध्य things are changing. आमे जो herbicide, pesticide, antibiotics etc. use करूचे in large quantities, ता जोगु insects माने, mosquitoes माने, ठीक है, as well as bacteria etc. are becoming resistant. Now, se resistant ei kon hobo? Se mano ko upare ei jinsa kamo koruni. First thing. Second thing, they are looking after their own survival. So basically, this is also a mechanism of natural selection. ये question exam रे पढ़तला, आपको ध्यान दो, important है. क्या question आया था? Resistance of bacteria to antibiotics or drugs is due to options. Answer is natural selection. ठीक है? Oh, these are the examples of natural selection by anthropogenic action. ठीक है? Anthropogenic action माने human action. आमे जेहेतु एई एक्टिविटीज गुड कले कोन इंडस्ट्रीज तयारी कले ता जो पोल्यूशन हला सो एंथ्रोपोजेनिक एठी तमरो हर्बिसाइड वीडिसाइड पेस्टिसाइड एंटीबायोटिक्स रो अब्यूज कले तो आ जो मध्य रेजिस्टेंट फॉर्म्स आसिले दिस इज आल्सो एंथ्रोपोजेनिक सो एंथ्रोपोजेनिक माने हला बेसिकली ह्यूमन एक्शन जो काम रे ह्यूमन मानकर रोल अछि बा तांको जोगु ए जिंस हेछि that is known as anthropogenic due to human action is that clear people अरे बुझिएला रे बच्चा ओके सही जिंस टिकू देखो ध्यान से क्या बोल रहा है in England before industrialization 1850s there were more white winged moths that is Western Betullaria typica on trees or you know एमाने अधिक थिले फाइन व्हाइट वाले कहां रहते थे ट्रीज में रहते थे देन नो ट्रीज व्हिच वर मोर सेठी आउ गोटे वैरायटी मध्य थिला दैट इज वेस्टर्न कार्बोनेरिया ये देखो बच्चा बेटुलारिया ये है आपकी कार्बोनेरिया ठीक है आफ्टर इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ठीक है दैट इज फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर बोला आपको 1914 to 18 तापर इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन आरंभ होला 1920s ठीक है more dark winged moths and less white moths were observed तो एई मानकर संख्या कमी गला एंड आंक संख्या बढ़ी गला ठीक है understood so slowly what happened they adapted to stay in this environment this is also an example of natural selection right before industrialization ये हाल था after industrialization ये हाल हो गया so these insects they now these moths they became adapted to the current environment that is polluted ठीक है this is known as industrial melanism okay before industrialization there was thick growth of white colored lichens देखो ध्यान से समझ में आ जाएगा आराम से ये दोनों जब यहाँ हैं ठीक है दोनों जब यहाँ पे हैं तो you could easily mark out the dark ones आपको डार्क वंस दिख रहे हैं ये लेकिन इसके साथ मिक्स हो जा रहा है तो पता नहीं चलेगा ठीक है तो दे वर एक्चुअली हंटेड डाउन एंड इनकी पॉपुलेशन कम थी बट वंस पोल्यूशन हो गया वंस द पोल्यूशन वाज देयर ठीक है उसमें हुआ क्या हुआ यस दे वर नाउ इजीली ट्रेस्ड आउट कौन ये डार्क वाले छुप गए एंड ये व्हाइट वाले एक्सपोज्ड हो गए ठीक है there was thick growth of white colored lichen covered the trees in that background the white winged moths survived but the dark colored moths were picked out by predators ठीक है अब उसके बाद क्या हुआ ठीक है आफ्टर इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन क्या हो गया रे बच्चा देखो ये डार्क वाले हैं इधर यू कैन सी ये यहां पे आपको दिखेगा ये डार्क वाले हैं इधर and this is the light one तो डार्क दिख नहीं रहा है but white is clearly evident क्यों बैकग्राउंड काला हो गया है so these white ones were now hunted down whereas the dark ones survived so tree trunks became dark due to industrial smoke and soot no lichens were there under this condition the white winged moths did not survive because the predators identified them easily dark winged moths survived because of suitable dark background that is predators could not identify them तो ये क्या हो गया ना बच्चा कैमोफ्लेज वाला सिस्टम हो गया बैकग्राउंड चेंज तो सर्वाइवल डिफिकल्ट बुझेला so this adaptation resulted in the industrial melanism concept ठीक है understood तो ये हो गई आपकी till industrial melanism concept done does anyone have questions here अगर है तो कुछ बोलो फटाफट make that quick yes फटाफट yes ओके, तो आई होप कोई डाउट्स नहीं है, ठीक है, फाइन। ना, हमने अभी तक देखा कि इंडस्ट्रियल मेलानिज्म, नेचुरल सिलेक्शन, अडैप्टिव रेडिएशन, एम्ब्रायोलॉजिकल एविडेंसेस वगैरह वगैरह डन, ठीक है। द नेक्स्ट थिंग दैट विल लुक इनटू इज बेसिक थियरीज ऑफ बायोलॉजिकल इवोल्यूशन, ठीक है। इन थियरीज में 3 पायनियर्स हैं। देयर आर 3 इंपॉर्टेंट पायनियर्स हियर। फाइन, कौन है पायनियर्स रे बाबू? फर्स्ट इज जॉन बैप्टिस्ट डी लमार्क। John Baptist de Lamarck. Yes. क्लास कितना, सॉरी मामा, ये जस्ट इसका बेसिक, ऑलरेडी टुडेज एजेंडा इज कवर्ड, ठीक है। हमारी आज की कॉन्सेप्ट जो थी दैट वाज स्टिल द एविडेंसेस ऑफ इवोल्यूशन, ठीक है। स्टिल नो, और 5 to 10 मिनट्स के अंदर विल रैप अप द क्लास, ठीक है जी, ओके। जस्ट बेसिक आपको ये थियरीज ऑफ इवोल्यूशन के बारे में बता दे, उसके बाद क्लास विल बी रैप्ड अप, ठीक है ना। चलो, अच्छी बात है। Theory of Lamarck is Lamarckism or theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Now, these terms are very, very important. Very important. Lamarck theory or Lamarckian theory को कौन कुआगला, Lamarckism को कौन कुआगला? Theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Theory of inheritance of acquired characters. That was the name given to Lamarckism और Lamarckian theory. बुझे रे, ये पहली है। Then the next theory of evolution or biological evolution is Darwinian theory, that is theory of natural selection. हमें जो natural selection है वे पढ़ी थी evidences रे, सेम वो किसने सजेस्ट किया था? डार्विनिज्म। तो एटा मोनो रखियो। Lamarckism implies theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Darwinism is natural selection. And mutation theory is Hugo de Vries. Hugo de Vries. ठीक है? तो तीनों टी very, very important concepts are there. Lamarckism, theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Darwinism, natural selection theory. And Hugo de Vries, mutation theory. अरे बुझिए ला रे बच्चा, चलो बढ़िया, आगे चलते हैं। Now, ये this person in the picture here is John Baptist de Lamarck. He was one of the first people, I mean first scientists to actually give the concept of the evolution. ठीक है? So what he said that evolution of life forms occurred by the inheritance of acquired characters. मतलब मान लो somebody has developed a property, ठीक है, प्रॉपर्टी माने कैरेक्टरिस्टिक, ठीक है, दैट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक वुड बी पास्ड ऑन from the parents to the offspring. ठीक है, from parental generation to offsprings. एटा थिला आंकर concept. Okay, fine. तमे ए जिनसटा तमे जेनेटिक्स रे पढुछो ना? Yes, जेनेटिक्स में चैप्टर का नाम क्या है? Yes, प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस वेरिएशन. Yes, वही चीज है, इनहेरिटेंस ऑफ एक्वायर्ड कैरेक्टर्स. ठीक है, ऑल्दो आगु को हमें देखिबा जे लामार्कियन थ्योरी वाज नॉट quite accurate, but still then the first thing that he attempted was explaining the evolution na. Yes, shabash Mona Lisa, evolution. So sethipai we need to understand कि से कौन कहिथिले. ठीक है, now acquired characters developed by use and disuse of organs. माने जो organ टी को हमें बेसी यूज करिबा सेटा मोर डेवलप्ड हे जिवो, जोटा कम यूज करिबा सेटा लेस डेवलप्ड बा धीरे धीरे आउ काम करिवनी. फॉर इंस्टेंस देखो, सपोज आप एक एथलीट है, से नो साइक्लिस्ट, बाइसाइकिल चलाओ, तो once you do the cycling phenomenon तुम्हारा को muscles develop होंगे, the thigh muscles, the calf muscles will be developed, but बाकी body रे muscles will not be that developed comparatively. Similarly जो shooter अच्छी, yes, आपने ओलंपिक्स में देखा होगा गगन नारंग. Yes, so they have practiced a lot with shooting, so तांकर को muscles बेसी develop होला. Mostly the eye muscles, yes, the retina, and since they hold the gun, etc., so some arms and wrists be developed. Similarly, wrestler ba weightlifter ko galo, so since they lift weights, okay, so shoulders, biceps, triceps, arms, wrists, and back muscles, they are more developed. So basically, हमें जो जिनसे गुड़ी कर develop करीबा नो यूज अधिक करिबा तो वो ज्यादा डेवलप हो जाएंगे. इट इज अ बेसिक कांसेप्ट. दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड यूज एंड डिसयूज ऑफ ऑर्गन्स. एटाला यूज रो कथा, एटा डिसयूज रो कथा. देखो एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल आपको बताते हैं तो सेतो तमे बुझी परिबो. सपोज a person, a patient has suffered an accident, ता गोड़ भांग गला. ओके, से फ्रैक्चर्स हो गए, and because of the fracture तारा plaster करना पड़ला. Now since the fracture is a compound fracture, so the plaster has to remain for say 1.5 months or 2 months. So 2 मास जाके plaster टी रहिबा जोगु ता गोड़ ता मूवमेंट होउनी कने बंद पूरा एकदम plaster ही के होची ना, plaster of Paris. So after 2 months जेतले सीए plaster टी कढा जिवो तारो and ताकू चलाबुला करिया पे कुआ जीवो. So it will be very very difficult for the person to walk. काहे कि because a plaster जेतु रहिला एते दिन, now से जगह रे motor function, strength etc सब कमी जाईछि. तो ताकू प्रथमे फिजियोथेरेपी नबा पड़िबो, धीरे धीरे से मसल्स गुडा को स्ट्रेंथन करिया पड़िबो, मोटर फंक्शंस गुडा को आउथरे रिस्टोर करिया पड़िबो, तापर जाई से धीरे धीरे चलिबो. प्लास्टर 2 मास गला ताको एई जिंस करी कि पुनी फुल्ली प्रॉपर्ली चलिया पई आउरी 3-4 मास लागि जो. गॉट द पॉइंट. नाउ इमेजिन यदि 2 मास केवल प्लास्टर होया पई तार अवस्था ए हला. If we do not use an organ for more years, वर्षे 2 वर्षे 3 वर्षे 4 वर्षे or even more, then what will happen to that organ? जे धीरे 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 टोटली काम करिया बंद करिवो. बुझेला? That is about disuse of organ. So that is where this concept use and disuse of organ is so vital. ठीक अछि. Now whether evolution ने तार किछि रोल अछि ना नहीं सेटा परे देखिबा, किंतु use and disuse theory is not wrong, it's correct. ठीक है. हो तार उदाहरण कौन देले से लामार्क. ओरिजिनली जिराफ टी ए भलिया थिला छोटियाटे छेली भलिया बट जेतबेले एनवायरमेंटल चेंज हैला एंड गछ गुडी को डेगा डेगा हे गले सो नाउ तळे आउ किछि खाइबा लायक बचिलानी and the good no food was where at the top of the trees तो सेठी खाइबा पाई की तो दे had to struggle तो से कौन कले ना ओवर द टाइम पीरियड धीरे धीरे तांकर निजर बेक को स्ट्रेच करिया आरंभ कले and because of this stretching तांकर नेक कौन हे गला elongated हे गला this is because of the use of the neck more often to obtain food so use jogu eta heichi say example dele long neck of giraffe is due to continuous elongation to forage leaves on trees this acquired character was inherited to succeeding generations eta Lamarck theory thila whether it is correct or wrong that we'll see ठीक है evolution by disuse disappearance of limbs by snakes साप मानकर गोड़ न थाए काहेकि नो ठीक है दे शो रिगलिंग मूवमेंट दे डू नॉट हैव लिम्स तो काहेकि बिकॉज़ एमाने एमितिका लाइफ फॉर्म चूज कले जोठी की तांकर स्केल्स डेवलप हे गले एंड द स्केल्स हैव देम इन मूविंग ऑन द सरफेस रादर देन लिम्स आउ गोड़ यूज कलेनी जेहेतु से मानकर गोड़ यूज हेलानी ओवर लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम तापरे कोन हेला ना साप मानकर गोड़ गायब इसका एविडेंस भी है हमारे पास कौन कि गोड़ो थिला था करो व्हाट इज दैट एविडेंस इन सर्टेन नो आपके स्नेक्स में दैट इज पाइथन रेटिकुलरिस माने अजगर एनाकोंडास बोआ एमानकर पछरे लांगुड़ पाखरे दुईटी हाइंड लिम्स अछि छोटो छोटो बट दे आर वेस्टिजियल ऑफ नो यूज बट है इट इज देयर फिजिकली so therefore it is proven कि तांकर limbs तो थिला किंतु यूज न होबा जोगु एटा एमिति हे जाइछि ठीक है अब इसको लामार्क स्टाइनर ट्राई टू कनेक्ट with that of the inheritance use disuse तो प्रूव हे गला एबे इनहेरिटेंस होछि कि ना एटा देखियार अछि this theory was eliminated out because it is proved that the characters are inherited only through genes बुझ पालो रे तो इसलिए लामार्क रो थ्योरी एठी हे गला गलत क्यों देखो हमरो इनहेरिटेंस रो गोटे बड्डो प्रॉब्लम अछि वो क्या है इनहेरिटेंस कैन ऑकर ओनली थ्रू व्हाट if the characters or traits are passed on to generative cells by gametes बुझ पालो तो ऑटोसोमल जिन्स गुड़िका लाइक हाथर डेवलपमेंट गोड़ डेवलपमेंट नेक डेवलपमेंट दे आर ऑटोसोमल कैरेक्टर्स तो जदी से कैरेक्टर्स बा जीन्स गुड़िका हमर गैमेट्स भीतर को आसीबे ताहाले ही इनहेरिटेंस हेई पारिबो बुझ पालो पॉइंटा सो इफ दे आर मॉडिफाइड जेनेटिकली and then they are transferred through gametes then only it can be inherited but suppose तमे हाथ तो अधिक यूज करछो तो तम हाथ तो स्ट्रांग हे गला पर रिस्ट स्ट्रांग हे गला so this is a physical character muscle development hela so this may not have caused a genetic modification तो जीन मॉडिफाई हेनी ना फिजिकली मसल टा केवल डेवलप हे जाई तमे छोट बळू सपोज ओजन उठौतलो मेनी बॉयज आर देयर मेन आर देयर जो कि बॉडी बिल्डिंग वेट लिफ्टिंग करते हैं तो ताजो ता मसल स्ट्रांग है जी बिकॉज़ फ्रॉम द वेरी अर्ली एज दे आर डूइंग इट बट ताजो को जेनेटिक मॉडिफिकेशन है नी जीन जहा थिला से या अछि तो जदी जीन से या अछि तो इनहेरिटेंस केम दिया हो समझ में आई बात अगर ऐसा नहीं होता आप जरा सोचो हैं स्विमर का बेटा स्विमर होगा माने जन्म हो ताको ने पानी में पके दियो हां तैरने लगेगा इज इट पॉसिबल नहीं हो नॉट पॉसिबल ठीक है अच्छा somebody is a horse rider हैं तो जन्म हो ता छुआ को ने की घोड़ा पर बसे देले से घोड़ा चलेबो पॉसिबल नहीं है अरे सिंपल जिंस देखो हमें जीवन वंस वी हैव लर्नड वॉकिंग से मी और यू पीपल, ठीक है, आप नो 1.5-2 साल से चलना शुरू किया आपने, एंड लाइफ टाइम पे एबे बोलते चालू छो, ठिया हो छो, बोलू छो, यस दौड़ते हो। तो जब हमारा बच्चा पैदा होता है, why does the child take approximately 1.5 years almost to walk? जब जन्म हो वो ठिया आएगी तो उड़िया को था, इनहेरिटेंस है ना एक्वायर्ड कैरेक्टर्स का। तो हमें तो लाइफ टाइम चला बोला करुचे, तो वो तो इमीडिएटली करना चाहिए, because there is a genetic function here. Since the genes will okay, ତାଙ୍କର ମଧ୍ୟ ଗୋଟେ ଟାଇମ ଅଛି, ତାଙ୍କର ମଧ୍ୟ ଗୋଟେ ସାଇକେଲ ଅଛି, ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ? तो ସିଏ ଯେମିତି ହବା କଥା वैसा ही होएगा। आपने अगर ज्यादा यूज किया या डिसयूज किया, से इमीडिएटली हब ବୋଲି मान ନାହିଁ। ହେଇପାରିବ କୋଉ ୱେରେ, ଯଦି କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାରରେ ସେଇ ଚେଞ୍ଜେस गुड़िक तुम जीन भितर आसीबो, then only it is possible, otherwise not possible, hence Lamarck theory was made incorrect। ठीक है, अरे बुझिएला, ठीक अछि। आज का अध्याय यही रखेंगे बिकॉज टाइम इज डन, ठीक है। नो आई हैव माय कॉलेजेस टू अटेंड, तो आप लोग को भी हो गया होगा, एंड मोर ओवर we have finished our session. Our session was till the evidences evolution, since there was time, तो मैंने आपको ये theory of evolution का भी थोड़ा बहुत दे दिया, ठीक है। But this will be continued in the next class, so be rest assured, ठीक है। चलो बच्चा लोग, enjoy your no holidays, ठीक है, रोजो enjoy करो, एंड हम रोजो के बाद ही मिलेंगे आपसे। तो हैप्पी रोजो टू ऑल ऑफ यू, पिठा पोना खाओ, ठीक है, खुश रहो, दोली खेलो बट सेफली, है ना, कोई दोली वोली में इंजर मत होना, ठीक है, ओके फाइन, गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल। जय जगन्नाथ। लक्ष्मी जी, जय जगन्नाथ टू यू। चलिए।